This episode is brought to you by Day 11 Podcast, a podcast that started off as a Westworld podcast about other Westworld podcasts and has since evolved to cover a whole host of other media. At the moment, they are covering Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek viewers may or may not believe in angels, but they believe in Spock. He's back. Everyone has got to check out Star Trek Discovery Season 2 on CBS All Access and join the conversation. They can catch up on Day 11 coverage of Discovery, Better Call Saul, House of Cards, 13 Reasons Why, and Westworld at day11podcast.com or search Day 11 Star Trek Discovery in their podcatcher. Many thanks to them for their sponsorship, and you can support them the way that you support us on Patreon at patreon.com/day11podcast. Now on with the show. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering Doctor Who, Season 2, Episode 9, The Impossible Planet. In this episode... Alright, so I guess the devil's here. I wasn't expecting that, but you know what? I'm alright with it. Welcome. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Natasha.
And I am Jamie.
And this is a special episode in which I read the Bible and became very well versed in it before I decided to record, so that I could talk about the coming apocalypse and all of the numbers of the beast. And now I'm hearing voices. And there's writing appearing on my hands. So I'm really not sure that I should be recording right now. I should probably seek medical assistance and or take over the world. But here we are.
Yeah, I don't think medicine is going to help you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe laughter will help because that's the best medicine. So maybe recording's exactly what I should be doing.
Okay.
Oh, this episode is super weird, y'all.
Yep.
I like it a lot so far, weirdly, mostly because it kept just doing shit that I did not expect. And I'm always a fan of things being just kind of bonkers. Mm-hmm. But I really don't know what they're doing here.
Well, I can't exactly tell you because there's a part 2.
Yeah. Yeah, so... Okay. Let's begin with Rose and the Doctor getting off of the TARDIS and her suggesting that maybe since it looks like there's trouble, they should get back on and turn around and leave, and then they both laugh hysterically, which was a pretty great moment. Also, Rose is wearing a new awesome, like, asymmetrical sort of canvas bomber jacket that's like in this sort of fuchsia color, and I want it a lot.
Is she? I knew she was wearing pink, but I thought it was just another pink hoodie.
It is not. It zips up like on the diagonal, and there's 2 huge buckles that go like around the side waist, and there are like this sort of open collar thing going on. It's great. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I don't know why I did not pay attention to any details of her clothing. The only thing that stood out to me was she wears pink in pretty much every episode.
I'm here for that also. But yeah, and she also is wearing a lot more eyeliner than usual. Was that just me?
She is wearing a lot of eyeliner.
It's
on top and bottom.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's like a specific choice for this episode for some reason. And maybe it'll like come up in the next episode. Maybe there's going to be something where her eyes are like playing up prominently and they were like, all right, we have to send her in there with wild liner. so as to be able to really, when she becomes possessed, turn into a high impact stare. But
maybe she's getting more comfortable with the amount of time spent flying around in the TARDIS and has time on her hands to play around with makeup.
Maybe maybe there was less turbulence this time and she was able to apply more because she wasn't getting thrown hither
Maybe she was
thither.
like, I'm wearing this hip jacket. I've got to do something different with my eyes.
Yeah, you know what? That's true, though. Like, I really get that way when I get a piece of new clothing that I like, and I'm just like, all right, obviously, my standard uniform is not going to cut it, so I'm going to have to mix things up. I ordered a pair of glasses from Zenny today again, and I am fully planning the first time I wear those glasses to be doing some serious lipstick with those. Probably hot pink, maybe purple.
Which ones did you order?
I got number 1, the simplest pair, because I really need to be practical. I wanted number 2, the purple pair, but I just feel like I'm going to order something that I then can't wear with like just an ordinary running out for groceries sort of outfit without feeling a little ridiculous.
Right.
So I decided to do something practical and simple against my will.
Oh, boo.
It's fine.
No, I really liked number 1. Those were the only ones that I really was like, they look the best. Mm-hmm. And they suit your face really well. So glad you went with those.
Yay.
It's really hard for me to pick out glasses because I always feel like I don't look good in glasses.
Glasses are really tricky. And, you know, I ordered the pair, and sorry guys, this is not interesting, but I ordered a pair from Zenny that was number 4, and they fit exactly the way they did in the like try them on thing where you put in your photo. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that these fit the same way as well, and that wasn't just like a coincidence. But I had somebody who used Zenny, and they posted the try them on image, and then they posted what they look like when they arrived, and it was very different.
Really?
And the kind of different where she was like, I don't even feel like these are, I feel like they might have made a mistake, but they didn't. And so I'm a little bit like just paranoid about that. So we shall see. Anyway.
Well, you'll have to keep us updated.
Rose's bomber jacket is great. So yeah, they walk into this place, and I love the doctor's like talking about how they build these things out of kits. It's like he's talking about how like all of the different parts of the ship are from IKEA, basically. And he even says something about how like it's like a flat pack wardrobe, except easier to put together. Which,
the place where they landed, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, not her bomber jacket. Sorry.
No, I didn't know if it was something about the TARDIS that I missed.
No. He's talking about where they landed because he says it looks like they're like in a storage cupboard.
Yep.
And as somebody who currently has a flat pack hall tree sitting in her living room that she has yet to put together, I would like to register that, yes, that kind of thing can be very annoying. And this is when they come across, as they're wandering around trying to explore the place in quite high spirits. They're in a very good mood here. They come across a wall that says, "Welcome to Hell." Mm-hmm. And nobody knew how literal that was. And then a bunch of writing underneath it that, for some reason, the TARDIS is not translating the way that it normally would. Mm-hmm. And the doctor is very distracted and a little bit worried by this. He's just like, that's not how this is supposed to go. So I don't really understand if it's like just really, really old or what's going on. And he also makes a statement when they get off the TARDIS initially that it's like it has a cold.
Yeah, he thinks it has indigestion.
Indigestion. That's right. What a weird thing.
Well, later we learned that the TARDISes are grown.
Yeah.
They're not
I wish
built.
it looked a little bit more organic.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're grown and then they're given a form after. I don't know. Maybe they don't all look like a police box.
Well, I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that when Doctor Who first started, he had the TARDIS look like a police box so that it would be sort of indistinct in England,
right.
And then it was unable to transform back to whatever it normally looked like.
Oh,
so,
right. I think he did mention that. Okay.
Yes. Doctor Who scholars, please correct me if I'm wrong or explain further if I'm right. It's a vague memory that I read something somewhere.
No, I think that he mentions that when, like, in one of the first episodes, because I think she asks about it, or Mickey asks about it.
Well, Mickey does say something about it, and he says nobody's going to pay attention to a blue box.
Yeah.
But that's why the doctor chose to have it look like that at that time, and then I think it was unable to transform into something else later, like if that part broke or something.
Huh.
But
okay.
it would be interesting. I love the TARDIS, but it would be interesting if sometime it just suddenly, like, started to look like something else.
Oh my God. What would your TARDIS look like, Jamie? If you needed it to be, like, sort of like, you know, it's distinctive enough that you know it's yours, but also, like, nobody's going to, like, notice it or draw attention to it. What'd you do?
Okay. There was this probably would actually draw attention to it, but I'm not into cars, but there was this, like, prototype they made of a Mini Cooper Aston Martin.
Wow, okay.
And I love it so much, but it really just looks like a sort of slightly fancier Mini Cooper, and I feel like nobody would really pay that much attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's still a Mini. But I don't know. That's the first thing I could think of. Like, I would love that if my little spaceship just looked like my dream car.
Yeah, I feel like most of us, the first thing that we're thinking of, because you leave it on the street, is a car. Because that's just going to tend to draw less attention.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I were going to do, like, a car, I mean, even if it draws attention because it's an unusual car, it's going to be still, people will assume, well, it's just a car. Right. So you could pick something that stands out car-wise, and it won't be unusual enough to, like, raise suspicions.
And pretty hard to steal.
Yeah,
because you
that's
think
true.
with fancy cars or unusual cars, they draw attention, and if somebody tries to steal it, but with the TARDIS, you have to have that key to get into it. Otherwise, it's just sitting there and can't be stolen.
All right. Well, so in that case, I think I'm going to go with, like, probably, like, a hot pink, like, 1962 convertible of some kind. Something that looks like the Barbie dream car, basically, is what I would pick. That would be really fun. And if I was going to do something that was like a building or a structure rather than an actual car, what would I pick? Oh my God.
I know it's really hard to think of something that makes sense, but also doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like, because the police box doesn't really make sense, but nobody bothers with it.
Right.
I don't really, like, it'd be interesting to test out theories and see what does draw attention and make people stop and what lets them walk by like it's nothing. Like, what I keep picturing in my head is one of those, you know, those adorable little sheds that you're supposed to put in your backyard that look like tiny little houses with shutters. And, like, if I did something like that with a little, like, window boxes that have flowers in it and it's just really cute and adorable. But I put a sign on the front that was like saltwater taffy. Like, it was a little shop. Maybe that wouldn't attract any attention because it would be unusual for this little shed to be on the middle of the street. But if it looked like a little stand that just sold taffy.
But if people go to try to get the taffy and they can't get in, then
they won't, because it's closed. It's always closed, that place.
What happened to that saltwater taffy place that showed up in the middle of the street that one time?
Yeah, exactly.
That was weird.
Maybe I would implant fake memories that it had been open a few times and make it like everybody just didn't even really like the taffy, so nobody came back.
Wow, you're getting really devious with your TARDIS here.
Hey, listen. I feel like I have to create it needs its own mythology. I need to figure out a name for my saltwater taffy store also.
Is it going to be an acronym?
So that it's like TARDIS?
Wait, an anagram? Wait, which one is it? See, now I second guess myself every time with this.
Anagram is when you can rearrange the letters to spell something else, I think.
So acronym is right.
Yeah. So yeah, an acronym. Yeah, guys, everybody brainstorm and come up with a name for my saltwater taffy mini pop-up shop. Oh, in Brooklyn. That's where I would land all the time.
No, you can't land the same place all the time. You might as well just open a shop there.
Listen, he lands in London all the fucking time. I would land in Brooklyn all the fucking time. It's fine.
Okay.
If I were an American doctor, Brooklyn would be the place that I inevitably wound up, even when I was trying to get to England.
Okay.
There'd be some sort of like alien race trying to take over a microbrewery. It would be all very specialized. All right, so they are walking around, and then they come to this, like, sort of airlock that he opens, and there are 3 real creepy Cthulhu-looking motherfuckers standing there saying that they must feed, and following them inside. These creature designs are awesome. They're unfortunately quite vaginal in their weird way, which I don't care for.
How are they vaginal?
The opening before the actual tentacles come out. There's a real look there, girl.
I love the Ood.
They're great.
I really love the Ood.
I like this character design a lot too, because they do that thing where they make them organic looking enough that their faces are different from one another. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like the cat women from the other episode.
Their eyes are like tilted the same way, but some of them are wider than others.
Higher up on their face than others. Yeah. It's all over the place.
They're a little creepy, and I know that there are some people that find the Ood really unsettling and really disturbing, and I don't know why when I first saw this I was like, "Ooh, neat."
Yeah,
I love them. And then I just kind of love their little speaker box things where when it's not working and they like give it a little shake and then they're like, "Pardon me." They're very polite.
Oh my God. I just, all the fucking potential that opens up. It would be like President Obama's anger translator, where he's just like, "You motherfucker, pardon me. I believe that we can reach a conclusion that will benefit both parties. You fucking sons of bitch." I'm so sorry. There's something going wrong.
There's something wrong with my vocal translator.
But yeah, it cuts away to commercial.
To credits.
I love it because it's the look on Rose's face as well as the doctor's when they're saying we must feed. And the doctor's like, you must what now? And Rose is behind him with this expression where she should be really scared, but she's laughing because of his reaction. And it just really goes to show you how much has changed. Because they are just not really all that worried about it right now. These things are real scary looking. They're saying they need to feed. And yet, these two are just kind of like, well, I don't know about this. Instead of running screaming like they should be doing. But it turns out that they're saying, we must feed you if you're hungry, which is great. And we find out later that the Ood are basically house elves.
Yep.
That, they're treated as if they like to serve and they claim that they do. That is all that they want to do. And crave orders, basically.
It's really interesting because I think this came out after Order of the Phoenix. But I don't think it's sort of copying the House Elves concept. I think that this must be something in British culture. The idea of, like, do you know what I mean? That she came up with this idea for house elves where they're like, no, we love what we're doing. We don't want to be free. This is what we're meant to do. And they don't question it. And then here's the Ood who are like, no, of course. We're just a servant race. Like, what? Why?
Colonialism. It's called colonialism.
Is it
Jamie.
just
it's
colonialism?
Fine.
It's like ingrained in them?
I think I feel like that it does seem to be we don't know what the deal is with these creatures really in the end. So I'm not trying to say too much here about them specifically, but,
no, me neither. I'm just talking about the concept of having the idea of a race of creatures who are like, of course, what can we get for you? We just want to serve you. It's our mission in life. That's all we care about is making you happy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
And I like that Rose is like, you have slaves. What purpose do humans need with slaves? And there was a part of me that's like, good questions, Rose, but also, come on. Humans are always enslaving something or someone.
The way that she says it specifically, why do humans need slaves, is not like, that's not really the question to ask. It's just, why are you enslaving people?
Yeah.
What you need them for is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, so when she phrased it like that, I was like, Rose, you're kind of missing the main point here that I feel like you need to be focusing on, which is just that whether you need something done is not what we need to be like asking about. But yeah, it's a real creepy sort of, like, it's amazing how they can take these creatures that look so creepy and make us the fucking creeps.
Sure.
But they have indeed.
But also, like, the question is not why do you have slaves, but why are you just cool with it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when she says something about it, the one woman is like, oh God, she's one of those friends of the Ood.
Yeah.
So apparently this is like a bit of a thing, which, like, good?
Yeah. But, let's get some Hermione up in here to start some spoo.
What a weird fucking, like, subplot that was in Harry Potter. I just still haven't come to terms with anything about that. Do you know what I mean?
What, how they made it seem like Hermione was being hysterical and not right about the situation?
It's just such a weird thing because, like, they made it seem like everybody else was too okay with it. But then the instant that Hermione did try to do anything, all of the house elves were deeply offended and horrified by it.
Yeah, that's
and didn't want anything to do with her. And so, yeah, that's like something that Rashawn and I still, like, you know, in our reread are debating the handling of, because the first time she felt like Hermione was being a bit of, like, you know, a white feminist, basically, and trying to, like, I think the phrase Rashawn used was, where's her safety pin?
I think you're right. I remember that.
and this reread, Rashawn's just kind of like, no, fuck this shit. Hermione's 100% right.
Yeah.
And Rashawn herself is confused by her change in stance on the whole thing.
I am just confused by, like, whose side am I supposed to be on here, Miss Rowling? And why do you seem okay with the slavery in your story and it not being a bigger deal?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird, like, that's the main thing, is that not knowing whose side you're supposed to be on makes it simultaneously more interesting and also more worrisome.
Yeah. So then you get this story where it's pretty much the exact same thing. And I'm like, what? Why is everybody okay with slaves?
Yeah. Because they're like cows.
They're not.
That one guy says.
I know. And it made me mad. Maybe that's why I like the Ood so much. Maybe it's because I'm like, no, I'm sorry. They're not like cows. They have their own thoughts. Mm-hmm. When they talk later about, like, oh, they're at basic 5 and then their, like, basic psychic whatever starts going up really high. And he's like, no, it means they're screaming. And I'm just like, but somebody help them, please. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just leave them there.
These poor little creatures down there with their voices screaming inside of their brains. Like, why does nobody care about the Ood? I'm going to start my own Free the Ood.
Friends of the Ood.
Friends of the Ood. I am their president. I'm Hermione about the Ood. I like that Rhode's like, Ood, that's very Ood.
Oh my God.
She's
Rose.
Funny. I love Rose so much.
Yeah, I feel like it's a weird, like, it's an attempt to sort of be like, well, are we going to come in and try and, like, tell a culture that they are wrong for something that we just don't understand? But it's also like a weird wish fulfillment thing where I would like a servant that does exactly what I want all the time and to not feel guilty about it. And
I would not.
You would not what?
I would not be okay with a servant. I think I would constantly be like at one point Jason was like, should we hire somebody to just come and clean the house? And I was like, No. No, I can clean the house. You can clean the house. We are fully capable of doing these things. We don't need to hire somebody to do it. It would make me feel guilty. Like, I know that's a job. At least you're paying the person. It's not a slave. But I don't know. It just seems weird.
Well, I think that's also a little bit of like, women have a particular guilt around that sort of thing as well. Because we feel like that's sort of our frontier a lot of the time based on what society tells us we are responsible for.
I can see your point in that. I just don't. I feel like if I am capable of doing something,
you're capable of cooking, and you're still going to go out to dinner.
Well, that's different. That's going out somewhere. I'm not going to hire somebody to come in and cook dinner for me while I sit and watch TV.
I mean, you order out and have them deliver it to your house.
Well, maybe I'm trying to find a way around this argument. I don't know. Maybe it's because I did not grow up with money. So the idea of hiring somebody to do stuff that I'm capable of doing myself just seems really strange.
Yeah, I can't relate to that one. Because if I had the money to hire somebody to do the house, I absolutely would do it. I would 100% be all over that because I do not enjoy the act of cleaning. I
don't either.
Organizing. But as far as whether or not I'm capable of doing it, that's not really relevant to my idea of like what I want. I'm capable of doing all sorts of things that I'm not interested in doing. So if I can get somebody else to do it, then amen. But in terms of like servants, that is a whole. I've been reading for the book club, which I'll be covering this next week with Candace. I've been reading Crazy Rich Asians. And everybody has several servants in this world that she goes and visits in Singapore. And
you say it like it's a completely different world in this world that she goes to.
It literally is a completely different world. These people have the kind of wealth that is so beyond imagining that they have servants to do things for them that just it wouldn't even occur to me. They have, 8-10 homes that are fully staffed at all times, whether they're there or not. And she's staying at this house and she's assigned a servant and she is not used to this and she doesn't know what to do because the servant asks if she can she says that she wants to bathe and the servant asks, well, I can draw you a bath. And she's like, no, I would prefer to shower. And the servant is like, well, I mean, if you take a bath, I can give you a scalp massage. And she's like, that doesn't sound like anything that I want at all. But this person is like upset that she doesn't want to, give her something to do, basically. So when she finally does go and take a shower, the woman is like, well, let me just at least set that up for you. And she's like, oh, okay. And when she goes in there, they've lit 30 candles all around the room. And just for the shower, just because they want to do something and don't want to feel pointless. And I'm not gonna have a servant that's giving me a scalp massage in the bath.
Good.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that these people aren't paid, although I don't have any evidence for that. Maybe they're not.
I'm sure they are paid. Probably not paid well. I
don't know if they are paid. There's a whole culture still going on with that kind of thing that's real sketchy. But I just, there's a point where I just feel like it's not just whether or not I'm capable of doing it. It's the intimacy of having somebody around in your space that you feel like, as somebody who is not used to that, you still feel the compulsion to host yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're supposed to be like, no, why don't you just sit down and make yourself comfortable? And that's the opposite of what they're there for. But giving orders just isn't, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Just staying at a hotel, just asking for housekeeping, sometimes I'm like, I'll clean up my hotel room before I leave so the housekeeping doesn't have to do much.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's their job. And I've known people that have worked as housekeepers in hotels and they, that's their job. They never cared, but I am like, no, I can't leave this place a mess.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the bed myself. I don't even make my bed at home.
Oh my God, I don't make my bed. I've started more now, but yeah. But anyway, all right, so we're barely into this episode. But they get confronted with 3 humans who are absolutely shocked to see them and get brought into like this main control area. And what ensues is the most frustrating. I can't believe you don't already know this. Did you not know this? How did you not know this dance in the world? Just give them an answer. Why would they joke around that they don't know this? Why would they lie that they don't know this?
And
Just
also, why aren't
them.
you like more concerned? These 2 people just showed up on your planet,
right?
Inside of your facility, who don't know what's going on.
That's the main thing, is that there's like this, well, where have you been? Like, they say something like, have you been living under a rock or something? And I'm like, that you should be asking that question, but in a very different way.
Yeah.
You're doing it in this sort of condescending, like, well, what the fuck is wrong with you? Well, no, you should wonder why they don't know this. That's a very reasonable question to be asking.
They're acting like the Doctor and Rose were just at another part of this facility and just wandered over, instead of like, oh my God, you're people and you're here, and how did you get here, and why, and why don't you know what's going on?
Yep.
How'd you get here in the first place if you don't even know where we are?
Yeah, I don't really understand what they think is happening here. And the fact that he like mentions the TARDIS and everything, and they're just like, oh, I don't know, it's gone. And don't ask him what it is, or like, you know, this guy has come up here and started to do equations that you all say took you like years to figure out or whatever, and is assessing the situation in a millisecond. And you are not really as like blown away by that as I feel like you should be. It's just their whole reaction to everything is weird. And I don't really get, I mean, like, are they just so distracted? Is that all it is?
I wonder if it was just like used as a storytelling device to make the audience feel like this was sort of going to be a romp. And then the devil shows up. And then, like, shit really gets weird. This Toby dude is, like, killing one of the other people. And, you know, like, they wanted to put the audience at ease with, like, nobody else seems very concerned, so I guess I'm not concerned either.
Oh, my God. The devil shows up. Just, there's no going back. That's what's happening. All right, so yeah, this is when we figure out exactly what they're on, a piece of rock orbiting a black hole that should be getting sucked in, but they are not. Yeah, they're on a planet. But it's like, they don't even like, they're like, though this planet doesn't have a name, it can't have a name. Why not? They call it says in my notes that it's called Crop Tor. So he asks what the name of it is, and she says it doesn't have a name. It can't have. I wonder where they got this info from. I don't know. Maybe it's in the next episode? No, it's where I get these notes from are like scene by scene, basically. And it says the Doctor realizes that it is impossible for the planet, which is called Crop Tor, to be in geostationary orbit around a black hole. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he figures out the name of it, and they didn't. Yeah, know. Maybe he knows something that they don't about. Since it's so ancient, it had a name before they landed on it, or something that he knows about or finds out about. He like right after this, it says about that he calculates that it would take a phenomenal amount of power. A power source with an inverted self-extrapolating reflex force of 6 blah blah blah. Cares. Right. Math to generate the huge gravity field stabilizing its orbit. Yeah, let's see. You need an atmosphere for a hurricane. There's no air out there. It's a complete vacuum. Then what's shaking the roof? You're not joking. You really don't know. Oh my God, just fucking answer her. Well, introductions. FYI, as they said in the old golden days. So we get all of the introductions to everybody before she opens the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the spot where she says that it doesn't have one, but I can't. Yeah, I think it's before the actual. I
think it's after they show the black hole to them because
is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because
okay.
the doctor is like freaked out. Like, this is not possible.
Mm-hmm.
A black hole, by definition, sucks in everything around it. So why isn't it taking this planet too?
I'm here in orbit. We can't be. You can see for yourself. We're in orbit. And then he says again, but we can't be. And she explains the lump of rock is suspended, yada, 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 describing what an orbit is. And
for the kids.
Yeah. Bad doesn't cover it. A black hole's a dead star. Black holes are bananas. I'm not going to talk about them right now, but seriously, how we act like ghosts can't exist when black holes can fucking exist. Don't even talk to me, guys.
Black holes freak me out.
God damn.
Isn't it a black hole that in Interstellar they go through?
I never saw Interstellar.
It's pretty good. Anne Hathaway's great.
But if there's no atmosphere out there, then what's that? Stars breaking up, gas clouds. We have whole solar systems being ripped apart above our heads before falling into that thing. So a bit worse than a storm then. Just a bit, yeah. And that's kind of the end of this conversation. I think that they tell him it's not a planet before this all begins, because that's their like hinting at there's something really weird about this. Mm-hmm. And so them being like, well, it can't have a name. What do you mean? And him being like, well, what do you mean? What do I mean? Is all meant to, stoke our curiosity. We're in the middle of an alert. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading this like I'm trying to find the exact spot because that particular line of hers acting like it can't have a name. I was really waiting specifically for an explanation on that because it's that is a really intense thing to say, that something can't have a name. That's a lot to just state.
Here it is.
What's this planet called anyway? Don't be stupid. It hasn't got a name. How could it have a name? You really don't know, do you?
That's before she shows him, opens the ceiling, right?
Yep.
So go past that.
After they are shown what it is?
Yeah.
At the end of that conversation?
Yeah.
She never, I read you what they said and the talk about, like, the gas cloud and worse than a storm, and then it just changes scenes.
What's the next scene?
They're looking at the, hologram of it. Uh-huh. That's the black hole officially designated K37 Gem 5.
Okay. So
in the scriptures of the Veltino... Oh, yeah, here it is. This planet is called Crop Tor, the Bitter Pill. Well, then why did she just say it can't have a name?
Right?
What the fuck? Like, it's the same, literally the same woman saying in the scriptures it's called, that said earlier, it doesn't have a name, don't be stupid.
I don't know.
It's literally the exact same character, and it's about 2 minutes later.
Yeah, that's really poor writing.
That's so baffling to me.
I didn't catch the line, it doesn't have a name, how could it? Unless she was... I mean, he specifically asked about the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I missed that then. But that's why I was confused, because in these notes that I copied, it specifically says the name of the planet. So I'm like, but, I mean, that has to come from somewhere.
And the way that she said it, too, which is just like, it can't have a name, don't be stupid. Like, it's really, really obvious.
So what, did the doctor just pull up information that they've never bothered looking at? No, because she knows what Crop Tor means in scripture.
And the black hole is supposed to be a mighty demon who was tricked into devouring the planet only to spit it out because it was poison.
Huh.
Yeah, so it means the bitter pill.
Well, if we had someone like Krista on with us, we could ask her if this is actually something that's from actual scripture or if this is just something they made up for the show, because I certainly don't know.
Well, I love it, and I love the idea that a demon was just like, oh, that's gross, no, and just spit something out, because you wouldn't think demons would be particularly, like, discerning, that they just sort of devour things for, I think of it as like, what is that game, Katamari, where it's just a snowball that, like, rolls everything up in front of it? In that game?
No.
Oh, God, it's crazy. It's a video game where you basically are trying to, like, maintain the size of this huge, and I'm using the word snowball simply to describe the action. You are rolling over things, and they get stuck to the thing that you are rolling until eventually you are big enough to roll up, like, entire houses and cars and shit like that.
What's the point of this game?
It's really, like, unclear to me. It's a game that people love, and Brennan used to play it a ton. But yeah, in terms of, like, the overall goal, I get the impression it's really meditative, and that's kind of all it is. That it's just really, like, relaxing, like playing Bejeweled or something.
Oh, Bejeweled. I haven't played that in a long time.
Yeah. That used to be my jam. Yeah, okay. All right. So it's got a name, and then she said it didn't. I don't know what this lady, maybe she's the demon. You know what? That explains it. She's a demon who lies. How about that?
Okay.
Can we go with that?
Sure.
But yeah, it's kept in constant balance against the black hole, and this is when he does all of that math to, like, try and figure out exactly how much power that would take. And it's the kind of, like, astronomical amount of power that does not even make fucking sense. He's like, it's not just big, it's literally off the chart. Like, this is a scale that we cannot even fathom here.
So there's something on this planet that is making this power that keeps this rock from flying into that black hole.
Right.
Okay.
So this crew is kind of stuck here. I guess they came here just to check it out, and the doctor is delighted by that.
Yes, he is.
Why'd you come? Because it was here. And he's just so, like,
they didn't stop to think about if they should.
Nope. It's just feel on brand. So I'll say that for him. At least he's consistent about what he likes and admires about people. And yeah, it is. This whole culture with these Ood being with them, I can't decide whether or not that's, like, by design, or if that's just, like, the Ood just happened to be a real convenient vessel for whatever this devil demon is to take over.
Do you think the Ood were already there, or that the humans brought them with them?
I assumed that the humans brought them with them because of the way that they react when Rose asks what they are.
Right.
You know, because she says something about it, and they're just like, what, are you kidding me? Everybody has them. And she's like, hi, I don't. Can you fucking answer a fucking question again? Thank you. She doesn't get as angry as I do, but she should. She kind of does snap at him a little bit. She says, well, I don't. So what are they? And I was like, thank you. Really, honestly, guys. These guys. So yeah, I assume that there's something that, like, they're part of an enslaved race in the solar system at large. Solar system's not the one. Galaxy at large.
Yeah.
But they might be natives to this planet. You know, maybe they were, like, enslaved and scooped up, and this is their home planet where they're actually from, and they were inadvertently brought back here somehow. Or maybe they are the demon spawn of the devil himself, perhaps.
Or maybe it's just very useful to this demon, to the devil, that here's these very easily controllable creatures.
I mean, Yeah, it could kind of go. It's like not even that important to me right now which one of those it is. I'm just kind of curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, frankly, all of the people on this ship can die. I don't really care about them. The Ood, though, better make it.
Yay,
So,
we're on the same page because I don't care
yeah.
about the people, but I really want the Ood to be okay.
Yeah, most of these
they're
people
just victims in this.
Yeah, exactly. They don't fucking want to be here, And they're over here being, like, told that they're, like, herd animals while they're screaming inside their own heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And the people are all just sort of, like, a drag, really.
Justice for the Ood! Justice for the Ood!
It reminds me of, like, the crews on in Alien, where everybody's just so, like, friggin' cynical that they could barely even live together amongst one another anymore because they're all so bitter and resentful about everything that no conversation can happen without somebody just being, like, irritated about it. But yeah, so, all right, they have this moment of realization that the TARDIS was in one of the airlocks that got knocked off during the storm.
I had a weird thought when they're calling it an earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's a word we all know, earthquake. But they're not on Earth.
No.
So shouldn't it just be called a quake?
Maybe it's supposed to be... Maybe Earth is like the word everybody uses now for just soil.
Maybe. I know it's a very tiny nit to pick, but I was like, it's not Earth, though. Is it really called an earthquake if you're not on Earth? Is it a Mars quake? Is it a Croptor quake? It's a quake.
My TARDIS must have fallen down into the heart of the planet. That's not going to turn into anything later. And I love his reaction being like, oh my god, where is it? And Rose is just like, I'm sure it's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Rose is the viewer. Where every episode, the Doctor's upset because something happened to the TARDIS. And every episode, all of us are like, it'll be fine.
There's no
Just
way you guys
down.
are dying.
It must be really hard as an actor to have to get upset over the same thing every episode and act like you're genuinely worried and invested in it when every time we all know that the show could not like go on if anything really did happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
the TARDIS is like always a damsel on this show. It's always needing to be fixed or rescued, or it's in trouble.
It's so high maintenance.
Put a little bow on it, little dress. Little princess TARDIS.
So, yeah. Her, like, later on, they begin to talk about it in more real terms once it seems to sink into her that maybe it's not actually going to be okay. But initially, she's very blasé about it, which I just found really funny. And that leads to, like, eventually they're having that conversation about, like, what will they do if they do get a ride somewhere? And she's like, well, we could just, I would get a job and I would just try to live my life. And he's like, would I have to get a house and live in a house?
She starts joking with him about having a mortgage.
And then, well, maybe, we could, like, I don't know, like, share one. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's fine, whatever. But, if you wanted to, like, we could, I don't know. But anyway, so just super, super awkward.
So, should I call my mom and let her know I'm probably not going to be back?
Right. Yeah. So she, all right. I'm jumping ahead too far, but I like that conversation. All right. So let's go to this scene with this fucking dude, Toby.
Toby Zed.
His name is Toby Zed. What a doof.
He looks kind of like if Kevin Bacon got squished on the sides and elongated from top to bottom. His face is like if they tried to shove Kevin Bacon's face into some small box and then had to fit it.
I guess I see that a little bit. I feel like he's got kind of, what's that guy from that show, Rescue Me, also?
Dennis Leary?
Yeah, I feel like he's got a tiny bit of a Dennis Leary look to him as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, so this guy hears a voice, which, you know, that'll happen. And he just starts wandering around looking for where it's coming from. And eventually it's like comes up behind him when he's like writing in his office. And
he's not writing. He's the archaeologist, so he's looking at some of the stuff they've found that has that writing on it.
Okay.
So he's trying to like either figure out what the writing is or just figure out like what this thing is that he found.
This scene, I know, like, and it is eerie for it to constantly be like, don't turn around.
Yeah.
But all I could hear was, what's his face from 30 Rock being like, do not look at me. Do not look at me in the eyes.
Tracy Jordan?
That? Tracy Jordan. He starts off being like, you know me, Jack. I'm easy. Like Sunday morning. Do not look at me. Do not look at me in the eyes. And that is all I could think was that Tracy Morgan is standing behind this guy.
Well, now I really wish that the Beast had been voiced by Tracy Morgan.
Oh my God. I just like, it started off like real creepy, but then when he keeps saying, don't look at me, don't turn around, I just couldn't stop laughing.
Did you ever see, it came up in my memories a few weeks ago and I wish I had reshared it, but it was, if you take all of Kanye's tweets, but you add Liz Lemon to the beginning of them, it just sounds like stuff that Tracy Jordan would say.
There was a quiz, Tracy Jordan or Kanye. And I really did not do well. Like, yeah, that dude.
Yeah.
So that, like, he winds up sort of collapsing and he wakes up and he's got red eyes and writing all over him. And he winds up like wandering out into a no atmosphere planet and smiling real creepily at this one lady who tries to find him. And eventually they find her like dead floating outside.
Can I point out that her name is Scooty? Scooty. Not Scotty. Scooty.
Is that her last name?
Well, let's see. In the introductions, yes, no, it's her first name, Scooty Manista.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's not a name.
That's just a jumble of letters.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything, guys.
Everybody else has like normal names. There's Zachary and Ida and John and Toby and Scooty.
Beat me up, Scooty. Oh, God.
Yeah, he like bamboozles Scooty. Well, I remembered it wrong because there's a point where she's actually out there in her spacesuit doing something and then she comes back. And I was misremembering how it happened. I thought that he locked her, like he got her into the airlock and then blew her out when she took her suit off.
Oh, okay,
but
right, yeah.
Really, it was that he was out there without a spacesuit on with this crazy ass smile on his face, and then like uses his telekinesis or whatever to break the glass, and then she gets sucked out. Yeah, and then we see her floating into the black hole, which is horrifying.
Yeah, I can't really think of like the main problem to me about being sucked into a black hole is that you would be dead long before you get to find out what's at the end of the black hole. I'd be so excited, at least, about being like, oh my God, I get to find out. I get to see it. And then I would die of like, you know, either freezing to death or suffocation, whichever one happens the first, you know, maybe just being
well, it
surrounded
depends.
by debris.
If you're out there in your spacesuit and you have a certain amount of oxygen while you're being sucked towards the black hole, maybe you would make it long enough to get inside of the black hole. But then maybe you would die in the black hole, like instantly. Who knows? None of us have ever been in one. Again, watch Interstellar.
The way that you said that, who knows? None of us have ever been in one. Sounded highly suspect to me, Jamie.
Well, that is where I was born.
Well, I'm sure. I don't know.
I was born in a black hole and spit out like a bitter pill.
My mother called me the bitter pill. I didn't know why. Oh yeah, and there's a moment with Rose getting food, and this creature, like her, saying, "Do you get paid? Do you actually get paid though? Do they give you money?" And he says, "The beast and his armies shall rise from the pit to make war against God."
It's so stupid, but I like his accent and the way he says God. I don't know why. God.
How does he say it?
I don't know. It's God.
God?
Just in a British accent, but it sounded so pleasant.
And Rose just sort of stands there and looks at him and then just says, "I'm sorry?" And he smacks the little translator ball. "Apologies. I said I hope you enjoy your meal." Oh, God. That's amazing. They're so... Why are these creatures so hideous, but also so cute? There's something really adorable about them. I just really like them.
I love the ood. I should be really grossed out by them, but I'm just like, aw.
So, Drillhead's speed increasing. They're drilling down into the core of this planet. And there's also like a hint at one point about like the power being enough to power the entire empire, says the head of security or military or whatever.
Sure.
And the doctor looks at him and is like, "Or to start a war," with his very, he's really just trying to start some shit here, I feel like.
It's just like, okay, Krista and I had this conversation quite a bit when we were talking about Lost, because there's this energy on the island, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Charles Widmore and all of these other people like want to find out what this energy is so they can harness it. And I'm like, it's fucking, what are you going to transport it somewhere? It's electromagnetic energy. Like, it makes no sense that you're going to try to capitalize on it. And that's how I feel about this. There's all this energy that's keeping a rock from flying into the black hole, and here's some fucking man who's like, yes, and we could like power the entire empire. How?
Well, that's why they're there, to find out how. But first they have to find out what it is.
But how?
But maybe they can figure it out, Jamie.
You think they can put it
That's
in
what
little
science is
vials
for.
and transport it away, and then you fly into a black hole?
Listen, if we can figure out how to run shit off the sun, we can figure out how to do it off of a planet.
For some reason, running shit off of the sun, you're not going to the sun and trying to take pieces of it, though. You
don't know that they'll try that either, but they just have to figure out what the source is in the first place.
I really hope that people here try to go to the sun and take energy from it. Just burn up, you dummies. Leave it alone. It's the sun.
Burn up, you dummies. That's going on the next t-shirt. Just burn up, you dummies. Yep, I like it. But yeah, like, they don't know exactly what it is that is powering it, so they might be able to find a way to, like, focus it and shoot it back towards some, like, containment system. I don't know how science works, Jamie.
That's the next t-shirt after mine. I don't know how science works, Jamie. You can even leave my name off. I don't know how science works.
I feel like that shirt would lend itself a little bit too much to people, like, turning it into a meme and then just making it the answer to somebody who's an anti-vaxxer or something. I don't want my shirt to be memeified. I want it to be wearified.
Wearified.
That's how Russian people say verified. Okay.
It took me a second, and then my brain went to Star Trek with adorable Anton Yelchin and his Victor.
What a weird fucking way to die.
It hurts.
I'm sure it does.
No, shut up!
I mean, Jesus Christ. Being a little insensitive there,
your
Jamie.
Garage door and a Jeep really would hurt. No, it just hurts that he died. He was so great.
Yeah, he was. And Fright Night is criminally underrated as a vampire movie. Everybody should watch it.
My God, that movie's so good. And David Tennant's
so
in it.
good. Oh yeah, that's right. He is in it.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, anybody who hasn't watched that movie, give yourself a little treat.
Yeah.
You will be so glad.
Colin Farrell is amazing. Anton Yelchin is amazing. David Tennant is amazing. That movie is so much better than it deserves to be.
Colin Farrell at maybe the hottest he has ever been or ever will be.
He is... I can't even...
It's disgusting. Like,
not just in that movie. He's another person that I met. But he actually made... Like, you hear that phrase of, oh, my knees went weak, and you don't think it's real. He made my whole fucking body weak. I was just like, oh my God. He's insane.
Yeah.
It's really unfair that anybody can have that much magnetism. Oh, God. Yeah, he's really hot in that movie, too. Anytime he plays bad.
Yeah. He's very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so now I want to watch that movie.
Me too.
He's so
I'm
hot
going to
in
go
that.
on Amazon after this and just buy the DVD.
I think I own it because, like, Owen and I, when we rewatched it together, liked it so much that I was like, I'm going to want to watch this every Halloween.
Have you seen the original one, though?
Yeah. Oh, God.
I
It's really
haven't.
bad.
Okay. Because I haven't, and I thought maybe that's why I liked the remake so much, because I had nothing to compare it to.
It's like, I don't care. People will say like, oh, it's bad in like that 80s way, but it's still really fun. No, it is very bad. It is bad in a bad way. And I encourage you to watch it because it will be hilarious. But, yeah, wow. No, there's no comparison, as like remakes are rarely as good as the original. And this is a real exception.
I feel like if you're
like
gonna
the original
make
could be left
remakes,
behind.
they should be from like good versions of bad movies that had good ideas in them. There's no other
think that's
reason to make
fair.
a remake.
But they're only making remakes to capitalize on the nostalgia of somebody liking something. So they don't want to remake bad things because they want people to go and buy the ticket just because they liked the original thing.
Yeah, Disney.
And it's also, stoking all of the fires of conversation with everybody being like, I can't believe that you cast a woman. Women in movies, what's next? So,
I'm going to see them out in the wild. You're going to be out there driving cars. Women.
Like talking. Yeah, all right. So there's a conversation between Rose and the doctor about like how far away from Earth they are. And her saying like, well, I'm stuck here with you. So that's at least better. And he gets this look on his face and is like, yeah. And she immediately is like, yeah. Before he like even finishes getting it out.
Yeah. Well,
it's really cute.
Poor Rose with her like, we could live together.
I wonder if he's got two dicks.
Oh my God, Natasha.
I'm sorry.
It's not like he has two of everything on the outside of his body. I mean, two of everything you're supposed to have two of, but not like double. He doesn't have 4 arms, 4 eyes, 2 mouths. Oh, God, can you imagine?
I mean, you can't see all of him. You don't know.
That's true.
Might be another mouth somewhere. What?
Just so many thoughts.
So yeah, I'm just like, this little moment between the two of them does make me kind of want the TARDIS to like be out of commission for an entire season and for them to have to like figure out just how to live like people. And
yeah, that would be interesting.
A bigger challenge to them than anything they've faced yet.
Rose would probably be pretty good at it. She seems pretty adaptable, and she has experience like working a menial job. Mm-hmm. The doctor, I think, would struggle.
Oh, most definitely. Are you kidding me? Somebody trying to tell him how to do stuff and then offering to like pay him for him doing it according to their standards?
Right.
Oh my God, forget it.
He would just like out intelligence them constantly and get fired from all of his jobs because of his attitude?
Immediately. I mean, you and I are not as intelligent as the Doctor, I would guess.
Excuse me.
And yet, we are more intelligent than almost every employer we have ever had.
That's true.
So, what would it be like for somebody like him? Forget it.
It would be torture.
Excruciating.
Yeah. That would be like his version of torture.
Mm-hmm.
Is having to work a regular job and not be in charge.
Now, see, that would be a really good episode, is the Doctor gets stuck in like working in some sort of bureaucratic system. And all of his like toys and all of his knowledge and everything are completely irrelevant. And this renders him essentially powerless.
He still has all of that stuff, but it doesn't factor in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somehow. I don't know how, but there's a conceit there that none of that stuff really like works or does anything. And how does he break a system like that? And of course, the villain of that episode would be like Dolores Umbridge or something. And really, the only way to fix it is to kill Dolores Umbridge and then burn down the building.
Well, that is my answer for Dolores Umbridge with all situations. They just kill the bitch.
Yeah. Oh, man. We've just been getting through that section of Order of the Phoenix, and it is just, I can't believe how enraged I am. She's such a good character because she still makes me as angry as she did the first time I read it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Every time I read that book, I get so angry and frustrated that this is happening. Mm-hmm. Like, as if I think this time it's not going to happen.
Yep. That's the beauty. The beauty and the pain. All right, so here we have this dude outside. He sucks her out. She's dead, whatever. Everybody else, there's like a breach and they're all panicking, but it turns out that we're all okay. And here comes Toby back inside like nothing fucking happened. The writing is no longer on his skin, and he says that he doesn't remember anything, but it seems pretty clear that like he remembers something.
Yeah.
Because he's panicking and keeps looking at his hands and is just not in a good way. And shaking and sweating and everything. So they're all, trying to understand what on earth could have happened. And they have to track down the one woman who died and announce to the captain that they have found her because she had gone missing.
Well, they were still getting her biochip signal that she was located in a certain place, so they were looking for her there, and then they see her floating. Right.
So I wonder if that biochip is just still functioning outside?
Yeah.
Or if it's, okay. I was thinking like maybe it got like torn out somehow and it's being like used as a decoy or something weird.
Because I think it's in the same place where they can open up the roof, right?
Is that the same room? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then they all realize that we have stopped drilling. And I will say that the look of the black hole outside, the effect of it does look pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Like every time that the camera goes outside and you get to see the settlement, I don't know what else to call it, facility, and you get to see the black hole like hovering above it like a giant weird moon, an inverted moon. It just looks so cool.
I also like when you get to like watch things float into it, like what's her face? Ida says, "Oh, let's watch this. It's history in the making." And they watch this entire like planet or what was a planet get sucked in. And she talks about how it's like a ancient civilization and it's just gone. And we got to witness its demise. Like, yeah, it's a cool effect that they use.
Yeah, it is.
Because it doesn't happen, you would think it would just sort of happen really fast like a vacuum, but it happens really slowly.
So, okay. They decide that they're going to send the doctor out for this investigation of the core of the planet, even though he is not part of this. And the captain is like, this is really against regulations, and I shouldn't be doing this at all. And the doctor's like, yeah, but come on. Yeah, you like me though, right? Come on. Hey, wah, yeah, guy.
That's a like. Impeccable impression of him, by the way.
Yeah, it's actually, the fact that he talks like that all the time is actually really annoying, but I try not to bring it up too much because apparently you guys all find it charming, so I don't really know. I must be in the minority on that.
Yeah, he just talks like a Muppet all the time.
Yeah, see? Chewing on a cigar. So he's heading out, even though the captain sort of says something like, you know, I should be the one going. And the doctor's like, dude, you're in charge. You absolutely should not be going. Like, we have to keep the people who are in charge safe so that they can continue to be in charge in case some shit goes very badly wrong.
Which is a very good point.
It is, indeed. And I think that it's nice that it seems like this guy believes him. Like, because there are times where people say that shit to you and you're just like, stop blowing air. What do they say? Hot air up my ass? Or
smoke.
Stop blowing my ass? Or
smoke up my ass.
Smoke. Yeah, that's the one. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know the origin of that phrase.
Blowing smoke up my ass. Yeah, that's weird. Huh?
There was something said at the beginning when they first made the introductions that he was not originally the captain, that whoever was in charge, something happened to them.
Yeah.
And so it seems like he was like next in line, but he's not entirely confident in doing this job, or he's just getting the hang of doing this job. So volunteering like, oh, I should be the one to do it, and having somebody else tell him like, no, you're the guy in charge. You don't run into danger. You keep these people safe. We'll go do this. Mm-hmm. It might not occur to him because he's probably used to being the one who's like, all right, I got it.
Yeah, and I think that there's also, like, you know, when you think that, oh, well, I'm the one in charge, I can't ask people to take risks I'm not willing to take myself.
Right.
There's also this desire to prove, like, well, if you guys want me to, I'm willing to do it. But he, like you said, he just doesn't have the confidence. And even when the science officer lady is like, you're doing a great job, he just shrugs and says, well, needs must. And I was like, man, don't be so hard on yourself, guy. He just looks so sad. I guess I'm better than nothing. I don't know. Am I?
Someone had to do it. It wasn't my choice.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes the best leaders come from people who don't expect to be it.
It's definitely true.
Usually, I would say.
Jeff Winger. I don't ask for leadership. I have leadership thrust unwillingly upon me. Okay.
Jeff Winger was not a good leader.
No, he was not. Well, he kind of was weirdly, but like not when he needed to be. He was always a good like damage control sort of leader. But he always let it get to the point where damage control was required.
Yes. Pretty much always. He is chaotic. Jeff Winger.
Yeah.
Chaotic neutral, I think. Actually, he might be chaotic evil.
I feel like he'd be chaotic, like, he'd be like, well, I want to say lawful neutral almost because of the way that he can mess with the law, being a lawyer. But I don't know if that's like the proper application of that phrasing.
No, because he breaks a lot of rules.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so it's about whether he actually follows the rules, not whether he can, like, manipulate the law.
Right. He's definitely chaotic something.
Gotcha.
It's just a question of whether he's definitely not good. He's either neutral or evil, and I would lean more towards evil with Jeff Winger.
I would say neutral.
Okay.
Because he lets himself be influenced by his friends, even though he constantly, like, he tries to pose like he's evil, but he's not.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, would you want him on your side?
Like, a little. But the thing is, like, when I say on my side, I would want him to be on my side, but I would also recognize that could change at any time.
Right. He's not on anyone's side but his own.
Yeah.
He's Littlefinger.
He wishes he was Littlefinger. All right, so they get on their little ship to go foray out there, and there's like this like sort of explosion that shakes the facility, and they are asking for a report. The captain is, and he's the doctor saying that they made it after a second, like there's too long. Everybody's sort of panicking, but before they actually like are able to get back in touch. And it's super, super dark. Some sort of cave. It's massive. And they have this thing called a gravity globe, which is the coolest. And this chick throws it in the air, and it just hovers and sheds light everywhere.
Yeah, it'd be really useful.
It's the raddest thing. And it turns out that there's a giant fucking temple here. And poor Rose. I feel bad because she's the one that's like bearing all these messages back to everybody, but everyone is so distracted with their own stuff that they like aren't really listening. So Toby says to him, sounds like you've got plenty of work, because they're excited they found the civilization that they think he cares about still. Mm-hmm. But his response is just good, 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 as he like stares at his hands. And I'm like, oh man. So Ada, what about the power source? And they're heading in there, and it is pretty cool looking. Like, I think that this being one of the more realistic depictions of like, you know, how space travel works in terms of like what we see now with astronauts having these huge heavy suits that are very inconvenient, mm-hmm. I guess. And Rose mentions that as well, that we like people think about space travel and it's going to be like this, and that, but you know, this is so far into the future, and yet in many ways things have not changed all that much. The way these suits are designed are pretty similar to the way they've been designed. Yep. Right? Yeah. It's sort of surprising. So they're heading in there, and there's some quipping between him and this woman who is a little bit over his quips, frankly. She's a little frustrated. And meanwhile, the Oods are opening their eyes and staring at this one dude who basically goes to the captain and is like, Mom, they won't stop looking at me. Make them stop looking at me. And he's like, oh my God, can you just handle the fact that they're like looking at you and just get over it? Mom, but I don't like it. Every time you turn around, he like sticks his tongue out. And it turns out that they are at 100 on their like little brain scan thing, which means that that's like brain death. Yep. But they're moving and talking like, or not talking. They're moving and behaving as if they are alive, despite the fact that this brain signature is completely like nonsensical. And I really hope that this doesn't mean that they're all actually dead. That like whenever whatever's using them is done with them, that they don't just like all fall to the floor. Because I'm a little bit concerned that that's what's going to happen. But the doctor and this lady, I don't remember her name. Do you remember her name?
Ida, right. Ida, science officer. So they come across this, like, what the doctor says he thinks is a trapdoor. It's just this giant, it looks like a fucking enormous manhole cover, basically. Yeah, or a giant coin.
Yeah. Lots of symbols around the sides. And then, as they're all, like, distracted about this trapdoor, suddenly Toby, like, looks over and is like, "These are the words of the beast." And has all the writing on him and the red eyes, and they all just look at him like, "What's going on, Toby?" And he says, "He has spoken, and now he will rise. Officer, you will stand down." The security guy starts saying, to which I'm like, he's not doing anything, to be honest. Like, stand down from what? He doesn't have a weapon on you. He's just standing there saying some weird shit covered in writing. What do you think he's gonna do? Stand down from what? But poor doctor down in this core can hear that some shit's going on, but he cannot do much to help.
Is that before or after all the symbols fly off of Toby's face and basically go into the Ood?
Before.
Okay.
He's still standing there with the security guy just being like he's saying, at first the security guy is like, we're going to confine you somewhere, to which I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy, good luck. But then he asks, did your wife ever forgive you?
Oh, right.
Which is just fucking, I don't want to know what that's about, but it just seems like a really low blow.
And then he says, she didn't.
Yeah, I'll tell you, she never did. And this dude swallows hard, like he looks like he's going to maybe like cry a little bit. He is managing his fear, but definitely this is upsetting. And then says, I will pull this trigger. And he says, but how many can you kill? And then exhales in this really hilarious way that reminds me a lot of Giles's face when he was, the Batman.
Yeah.
And all of those symbols dissipate into the air like smoke. And then all of the Ood turn and look at them with their eyes suddenly red. And I just, the Oods really just need a break, man. They need a vacation. Who's the Ood for the Oods? Who's going to wait on them, And they all hold out their little translator balls. The legion shall be many, and the legion shall be few. The fucking security guy says he has contaminated the livestock.
Yeah.
Listen. Kill him. That's all I'm saying. Just kill the guy. Make this easier for all of us. I hate him. His wife didn't even forgive him. How good can he be? Let's be honest. And Rose is like trying to communicate with the doctor about what's going on here. And these Ood they aren't even, oh, right. He has woven himself into the fabric of your life since the dawn of time. I really liked that line a lot. It's just real creepy. And I should also mention, like, the Ood are literally kept in a pen with, like...
Yeah, they're just sitting on, like they look like they're in a locker room.
Mm-hmm. It's really, really ugly. I hate it. The King of Despair, the Deathless Prince, the Bringer of Night, Lucifer, the whole thing. These are the words that shall set him free.
So basically,
and it throws one of these translator balls at this guy's head and zaps him in the head, and he goes down.
Yep.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So basically, this Satan, I guess, this demon has been projecting across the universe and putting the idea of Satan into humanity. Is that what we're supposed to get from that? He's projected himself in the fabric of your lives.
The touch.
Shut up.
Of cotton.
Isn't that what he said? Was the fabric of your lives? Shut up.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I can't get it out of my head. Except now I'm just like the touch, the feel of the devil, and I can't come up with like a good substitute for cotton. But I guess like I didn't really get what you're saying from it, but I like that idea that it's like projecting itself. So is that why it's above a black hole? So that like energy is getting transmuted? That's not a word. Well, it is a word.
Transmitted?
That's not the word I want. Transmitted? Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's what I want.
Maybe. Or maybe he's just been trapped down there at the core of this planet, and then this black hole showed up, which brought people to the planet to start drilling to figure out why this planet isn't being sucked into the black hole. And he's just using this fortunate event.
You think it's all a coincidence?
I don't know. Could be. I mean,
she knows.
It's the fucking
guys.
devil. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the devil, like, this isn't all that impressive. You know, if this is the devil, if he has to wait for people to, like, come to a certain planet, and there has to be, like, a race that's sort of mentally, like, open, available to him in order to do anything.
It's just like a perfect storm of things to help him escape.
It really doesn't seem like he's something to be all that afraid of.
Right?
Like, if this all needs to fall into place in exactly this manner, I'm not that worried about it.
Do you watch Supernatural?
No.
Okay. Because there's a whole thing with Lucifer on that show, and he's basically been trapped in the cage. They call it Lucifer's cage, so he can't get out. And that's what that made me think of, like, well, he's just been trapped down here all this time. This is Doctor Who's version of Lucifer's cage. I don't know if Lucifer's cage is something that's in the Bible, guys. I have not read the Bible.
I don't recall anything about this in the Bible.
Okay.
I don't feel like the implication with the way that our world is that the devil has been locked away this whole time makes a lot of sense. I feel like he's probably got a fucking penthouse in every city in America, but what do I know?
Or the White House.
Oh, trenchant. So yeah, they're walking around with these like zappy balls, which are weirdly like attached to their heads somehow.
I think they're
also,
part
like,
of them.
into their mouths.
Yeah.
Oh, you think they're like a body part?
Yeah, like it's like a part of their. They've got all those tentacles, and then they've got this ball that is also one of the tentacles. And
I assumed that ball was built for them to translate what they're.
How'd they get
thinking.
attached? Why don't they just take it off? I don't want to talk to you.
But they do, because they're servants and they need to be able to talk.
I guess. I just always thought, like, well, the way that it, like, zoomed out and electrocuted that guy, I was like, oh, it's part of them.
Oh, I just figured they had figured out a new way to use the thing.
Maybe. I don't know either way.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the anatomy of an ood.
I am the sin and the temptation and the desire. I am the pain and the loss and the death of hope. He's really has quite a high opinion of himself, to be honest.
Well, don't all evil people?
I mean, probably. Yeah. So, the gravity field is beginning to go, and they are beginning to lose orbit, and they're going to fall into the black hole because of whatever it is that they have done, or is it because of the ood, or whatever. It says, I have been imprisoned for eternity, but no more. Again, I just don't buy it. You haven't been out here fucking shit up? That feels unlikely. But yeah. And I am free! And then the beast begins laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to credits. To be continued.
The pit is open.
They have given Toby a sock. So yeah, that is the end of the episode. And like, I've actually really enjoyed this one. I liked it because it felt like weirdly grounded until the devil showed up. Which honestly is fine. Like, having it be that grounded and then to just do something that ridiculous. I mean, it could go either way. I didn't think it worked in Father's Day. But that also,
Well, that was dragons, and they were poorly designed dragons.
And we had like a real emotional investment in what else was happening in that episode.
Yeah.
But this is the main event here. So if you're just going to go in that direction with it, then fine. You know, it's not like, I don't feel like it's taking time away from something that I'm actually interested in.
If you're going to have the devil in your story, he needs to be the main event, not the opening act.
Yeah, I feel like that's true.
Interestingly, originally the production team had considered making it the Sledenes that were the servants. And they...
Which are the Slovenes?
Sledenes. Who were they? You know, the big, like, the ones who took over Downing Street.
Okay, yeah. Really?
Yeah, but it emerged that the cost of repairing the Slitheen costumes was just as much as if the crew created a new alien from scratch. And so Russell T. Davies... and Russell T. Davies also considered that the Slitheen would take over the plot. So they created the Ood instead.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think there would be too much baggage associated with that, and you couldn't let this play out because you'd be waiting for them to suddenly, like, unleash their dastardly plot.
Yeah, you would automatically assume that they were up to no good.
Exactly.
And with this new creature, you're like, you feel for them because you don't know what they are, or you have no history with them, so you don't assume anything except what you're being told, that they're this slave race. And if you're a person with a soul, you feel sorry for the slave race. Mm-hmm. You don't feel sorry for the fucking Slitheen.
No.
Even when there was that episode where we were with the Lady Slitheen, and you kind of feel sorry for her, you also don't feel sorry for her because she just keeps trying to kill people. Mm-hmm. And actually is killing people. It's like, well, you're bad.
Yeah, she's like, let me get some sad points from you by describing in detail how they're going to, like, skin me and put me in an acid bath or whatever it is that she said.
But right while I'm doing that, why don't I try shooting you with a poison dart?
Yeah. Yeah, and then gas comes out. Doesn't she, like, breathe gas on him?
She does something, yeah.
There's a bunch of different things that she tries to do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I feel like that would have been a bad choice, and I'm glad that the costumes forced them to do something else. I think that
this turned
out to be a very good thing.
This worked out much better, and these creatures are really interesting, and they just look so cool, and I would rather have 15 episodes where the Ood are something than one more episode of the Slitheen.
Yeah, agreed. The Slitheen just looked so silly, too.
Yeah.
You know, quite apart from any of the plot stuff. I just, like, they don't look good. They look like giant caterpillars. You know?
Yeah.
So these things are way cooler.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, so we're at the end of the episode. Is there anything that you wanted to mention? I don't know if we have any new reviews or anything like that, but...
We don't have any new reviews. So send in
those
those reviews.
Get on that. Do it.
In the Unspoiled Whovian group, we're doing this British actor bingo game. And we have seen, I think, 3 people who were in, it might even be more, people who were in Harry Potter or Game of Thrones. And also Doctor Who. There was Jory and Roderick and Barty Crouch. I think that's it.
Okay.
So I told somebody, I can't remember who I was talking to, that I would do an update just to let you guys know if you haven't been, like, following along or you forgot to, you know, pay attention, that I would do a little update. It's a lot to ask for.
I love the phrase of "you forgot to pay attention" because that really does just sort of sum it up in this, like, bald way.
I mean, in order to win this damn thing, it could be years because some of these people don't show up till way later. Right. So nobody has gotten a bingo yet because at most there's only a row of 4 because David Tennant is the free space. He's in Harry Potter.
That's true. It's just funny. He's the free space. Mm-hmm. All right. So, guys, I want to remind you all that Miles and I are recording on Twilight, and it has been a very good time. we recently finished an episode that the chapters we were covering, and just before Edward actually steps out into the sun for the first time.
Oh my God.
So Miles is very frustrated because he really wants to see some fucking sparkle here.
Oh, does he know they sparkle?
He knows. Oh. There's no way to get away from certain spoilers.
I guess that's true. I was hoping that was one that he just never knew about, because that's funny.
That's pretty much the only thing that he does know in terms of the weird vampire lore that Stephanie Meyer came up with. Mm. So he's asked a couple questions so far, like, what happens when they die in this universe? And I'm just like, I don't know.
God, I don't remember what happens when they die.
Spoiler, it's weird. But yeah, so we're getting into that, and it's just a really good time because he keeps on like wanting to give Edward a chance and then getting angry at him again because he just doesn't like the guy's attitude, which is fair.
Yeah. Edward sucks.
He's the worst. And I am enjoying reading this with like an adult eye because when I read it, I was so young. I wasn't a kid, but I was like 22, I think. And a lot has changed in the way that I perceive the world.
Yeah.
And man, it really gives everything like a whole different vibe in a lot of ways. And not even necessarily always in a bad way, even though you would think that it would be almost universally like, ooh, this is all terrible. There's actually some stuff that I'm coming to appreciate a little bit more now. But yeah, so if you want to become a patron and listen to that, you can go to patreon.com/unspoiled. And for access to the Twilight stuff, you have to be at $5 or above. And I think it's totally worth it. 1 episode a week.
It is totally worth it. It's really fun.
I'm like, there are some times where I feel like I want to offer more to lower tier patrons because I have a lot more lower tier patrons than a lot of Patreons do. I think because I offer more for that level than a lot of them do. Mm-hmm. So I start to be like, maybe I should offer more. And then I'm like, no, you know what? If you're at $1, you already get Harry Potter reread. So you're good. I should have been charging more for the Harry Potter reread.
People can get that for $1?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty nice.
And I didn't pay Jamie to react with that shock, guys.
No, I knew it was behind the paywall, but I assumed it was at a higher amount than $1.
Nope. If you go to 15, then you get access to a live crowdcast of me and Rashawn recording the Harry Potter reread twice a month. Oh. So that's one of those.
If you're a $20 patron, you get to join in on Unsober.
Which is super duper fun.
It is. When I've gotten a chance to be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to be doing because there's one this weekend and I haven't decided on the topic yet, but the last one we did was overrated movies. Totally unrelated to the Oscar winner for Best Film.
Yeah, totally unrelated, I'm sure.
Really had nothing to do with that. Don't even bring it up. Please, seriously, don't bring it up.
My favorite thing that I saw was, I can't remember who said it, but it was like, well, Crash is no longer the worst Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah. And we talk about that in the thing, too. Movies that we liked at the time that now we wince at. And both me and Rashawn really liked Crash when it came out. And both of us look back at ourselves and are just like, oh, sweetie. What?
I did not like that movie.
I liked it. And there's a lot of movies that one I can't, it's just bad. And then there are other movies where I'm like, I know that this is still not good, but I can't help but still like it.
Sure. I just always thought that that movie was really shitty. And that Oscar season particularly was infuriating because Brokeback Mountain was up for Best Picture and by far deserved to win, and that fucking garbage beat it. And I was just like, I'm glad I had been drinking all day because we had an Oscar party that started at champagne brunch and lasted all day. So,
wow.
I'm really glad that I was just drunk because I was so mad. Even though I expected, I knew Brokeback wasn't going to win because it's a movie about gay cowboys and it's just not going to win, even though it's by far the best movie. Mm-hmm. But for Crash to be the one that won, I was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Ugh. And now, I haven't seen Green Book, so I can't,
Same.
I can't.
It's fine.
I can't be
I
as
won't.
angry, but yeah, I'm not going to see it. I like Vigo and I like Mahershala, but not enough.
Is that how you say his name? I always say it Mahershala.
It's Mahershala.
Is it Mahershala?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I only know that because he's won a bunch of awards.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah, so I just like trained my brain Mahershala because I used to say Mahershala too.
Yeah, so that's the most recent Unsober. I'm thinking actually that I might start like a little segment within Unsober that's like top 5 of whatever. But anyway, so yeah, that's a $20 thing, and I charge $20 for that, and I give Rashawn half of the patrons who sign up for $20.
Cool.
As a incentive, because she records with me a lot and she has a real job, so this can be awfully taxing for her.
Maybe you guys should do overrated television shows.
We'll talk about that off mic. I will take it under advisement, but I have some thoughts on that.
Okay.
But yeah, we basically could pick any subject and talk about it for an hour and a half. Like it would be, and they're all on camera as well.
And actually,
so when we do Unsober, we're drinking and talking on camera with an audience in the chat with us.
Yeah, you guys don't stay on task. So
no, oh my god,
it's very fun.
It's like
as if we stay on task on anything.
That's like my brand is tangents. Experience your favorites again for the first time. Now with tangents. New and improved. So yeah, guys, check that out. Patreon.com/unspoiled. You can find us on Facebook, Facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter at unspoiledshow, Instagram at unspoiledpodcast. And also, please check out our sponsor, Day 11 Podcast, who I do a little plug at the beginning of these episodes that I edit in. But also, they have just recently started their Patreon.
Oh.
And it's brand spanking new. I just saw it today. I think they started it like maybe yesterday. And it had like 3 patrons when I checked because it's so new. And they are a big supporter of the show. They are pledging at like the highest tier available.
Wow.
And they are really cool, nice people, and they do shows that basically break down all of the like online chatter about different TV shows. So they don't like do plot synopses. It's more talking about like the arguments that people are having about like casting problems or, plot issues or whatever. And they even bring in discussions based on what's being talked about on other podcasts. So it was started off as a Westworld podcast that was about other Westworld podcasts, and now they're covering Star Trek Discovery season 2, which has lots of online chatter to choose from. So yeah, Day 11 Podcast, guys, check them out, support them, and by supporting them, you support us. And, but also, like, support us, like, directly also. Do that.
Yeah.
Support everybody.
Go buy our one Doctor Who t-shirt that we have so far.
Where's my orange juice?
Yep.
Baby. Yeah, and many thanks to Krista for designing that one.
Yeah, she was working on another one for us, but I think life got distracting, and I'll have to ask her once she's a little more settled if she's revised it.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. Well, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Hope you've been enjoying the show, and we will see you soon with a new episode. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.